3:02. We are 120 seconds behind schedule, so we're going to get started here. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Del Norte Local Transportation Commission to order. Would everybody join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now it's the public comment period. Anyone wishing to make public comments regarding matters either on or off the agenda and within the Commission's jurisdiction may do so at this time. However, the Commission is not permitted to act on non-agenda items. Do we have any public comment?
Eileen Cooper, Del Norte County. So, the concept of projects that are transformative, they capture funding, but they have to be truly transformative. And what does that mean in this day and age that we are in? Well, I think that we have to undertake as a society transforming our transportation network. What do I mean about that? I mean green vehicles. I mean solar charging. I think there's a lot of work to do in this community that is necessary for transformative motion of our culture that is going to be self-sustaining. We are a remote community and we're subject to being isolated in calamities. So it's to our advantage to become more self-sufficient. Everything that we can do, from putting up solar parking canopies across all of our parking areas, planning with transportation has to work towards these goals. And I think if we did, as a community, come up with a truly transformative project and requirements and hold the community's feet to the fire requiring parking lots be and new buildings install solar producing energy and start having the storage capacity so that in a catastrophe we will still have buses running because they're electric. We will still have our houses functioning. We will still have our hospitals working. That is transformative, and transportation takes a big part of that and can garnish funds towards that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we're going to go on to our consent agenda. Can the clerk record that Commissioner Inscore is walking in now? Thank you. Okay, we're on our consent agenda. Do we have any public comment for the consent agenda? Okay, so here we've got minutes for April 2nd. We are amending our website service contract.
Motion to approve.
There we go. Do it. Second for the motion? Second. Okay, there's a motion and a second. We call the vote. Yeah.
There you go. We're good.
Yes.
No, it's not. This one's on now.
There we go.
Yeah, okay, it's good. Okay. Consent agenda passes. We're on to our policy and administrative items now. First, we have
Did we
SB 1.
vote? Did I miss something? Did we just vote on the consent agenda?
You made the
Yes.
motion for it.
Yeah, I know. Did we take a vote?
You were the first one to vote.
Yeah.
I didn't say, I was not, I made the motion. I didn't hear anyone call.
You said
Okay.
yes.
Would you call the vote again, please? So I didn't
Okay.
remember saying that I voted yes.
You were the first one.
All right. Consent agenda for Commissioner Gitlin?
Yes.
Commissioner Hemmingson? Yes. Commissioner Howard? Yes. Commissioner Inscore? Yes. Chair Alex Ballman?
Malfunction again. Oh, and there it goes.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to go on to the policy and administrative items now. First is SB 152 as amended. Tamara, can you explain this?
SB 152 is quite concerning to all of us, rural communities across the state. I wanted to bring it to your attention and for authorization for the chair to assign letters as needed. It's really an evolving topic. We have a Rural Counties Task Force meeting this Friday, so just in a couple days, and it's on our Rural Counties agenda. In addition to that, I have an appointment to meet with Mike McGuire's staff that morning in Sacramento, because I'll be there, and while he's not in the office on Fridays, I can meet with his transportation staff on Friday. And my colleagues from District 1 are joining. I know Marcella from Humboldt is joining. I believe that our other two colleagues from Mendocino and Lake, my other two colleagues, are also going to join in that meeting. I'm not quite sure yet on the timing of their travel. But we're quite concerned because Mike McGuire is on the Transportation Committee, and I am perplexed about his position on this. And so I'm hoping to get more information on Friday and to share more information on Friday before I begin writing letters. Many of my colleagues are already writing letters, but they are in different positions with different representatives across the state. So I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention here. I am getting more information and more analysis as the RTPAs across the state sort of get their handle on this. But basically what this new law does is it gives the large MPOs, there are basically 10 beneficiary MPOs across the state, and everybody else loses. So it's a very urban-centric opportunity. It reduces the rural opportunities across the active transportation program and increases the urban opportunity to apply for that funding. So basically, it's just bad for rural California. And I'm dismayed that it's even gotten this far, but I think that you all know as well as anybody how overwhelming those 10 large MPOs can be on a topic like the active transportation program. So I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. I will be going back to the Technical Advisory Committee. I've talked with them at our TAC meeting a week ago. I wasn't prepared to, make recommendations about letters, but I'll be doing that to the Technical Advisory Committee. So I expect that you'll see this within your own, member organizations, the City Council and the County Board of Supervisors, coming up from your own staff, not from me, about a recommendation for a letter to sign and send. It's just, it's dismaying and disheartening that we can have this. The fund source, the ATP, is so fierce already. The competition is so fierce already, and it's trending in ways that are also concerning. The number of applications in the 2019 cycle was 554. The number of projects funded was 59. And what happened in the cycle 4 of this grant was that they awarded many, many fewer projects, and the project size was really large. And that's also concerning to rural California because we don't always need a $5 million project. We often need a $200,000 project. And if the award trend is going toward these large projects, well, we can put together a large project, but it's not going to make that much sense. So there's a lot of things happening with this. Oh, we're getting your name straightened out. So you guys are right on TV. There's a lot that's happening with this fund source that's really concerning to the rural RTPAs, and I expect that we'll be having a robust conversation about this in the Rural Counties Task Force this Friday. I didn't want to delay until our next meeting and have prepared letters. I'm not prepared to write a letter until after the meeting on Friday, but I did want to get started on that right away and have the chair authorized to sign letters as they come, as we develop them.
Yep. Go ahead, Blake.
Just, I'm looking at the committee reports, and what it identifies here is 50% of these ATP funds are going to be competitive, and then only 10% for small urban and rural regions, and then the rest of it is all for these MPOs. Do you know, how does that compare to what it is right now with funding?
I have a comparison chart that I received from a colleague actually just this morning. So what it is right now is that makes the state pot a 50% reduction in the state-only funding that both the urban areas and the rural areas can compete for. So if you take a look at the total overall, the large MPOs have a 60% apportionment is what they're seeking. It's a 40% right now. So their 40% direct apportionment isn't enough for them. They want a 60% direct apportionment. Right now, it's 50% is statewide, and the MPOs are proposing to reduce that to a 25% statewide. So at the end of all, the rural counties will have access to, right now, we have access to 60% of the total ATP funds. With the urban proposal, that will be reduced to 40% of the ATP funds. The urban areas, their access to the funds right now is 85%. So it's just,
I didn't
yeah.
roll it far, I got what you just said. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't go far enough into I missed one line, so. Okay, well, good, I'm glad that, that's not acceptable.
We find it unacceptable, but it's, you know what it is, you know how it feels. This is just one more of those topics where I'm stunned that it's gotten this far, given how slanted this is. One of the folks who came up with this proposal is going to be at our rural counties meeting on Friday. So I'm interested to see how they can even defend this, especially to Rural Counties Task Force. So it's going to be an interesting conversation, an interesting meeting. When I come back, I will be prepared to write letters. I'll probably have a letter prepared for the chair's signature on Monday or Tuesday of next week. We'll get those letters out as promptly as possible. The Transportation Commission doesn't lobby. Of course, the city and county can lobby, and I'll be sharing information. So I can address this by writing a letter of concern, by providing informed analysis, but there are really limits to what I can do as the RTPA that are much more narrow than what the city of Crescent City can do or the county of Del Norte. But I am, in this instance, probably the one with the most upfront information because it's a transportation topic, and so, hotly debated with rural counties. So I'll be going back, as I said, to the TAC, the Technical Advisory Committee, and I expect that you'll be seeing letters coming from your staff on this topic.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes. Where are we at on committee? Where are we at on committee in the Senate?
Oh.
Where does it stand? It goes to committee on Friday.
I believe, I don't.
Senate
don't-
Transportation Committee meeting this Friday?
I don't
Main
know.
hearing date 5/13/19, is that Friday?
Yes.
No,
Okay,
that's a week.
Monday.
It'll be Monday.
It's Monday, I'm sorry.
Monday.
So our timing's a little off,
I,
because then it goes to appropriations.
we're doing what we can. How's that?
Well, I'm just trying to time it for our agenda.
Right.
Which is next Tuesday.
Got it. Yeah.
And I need agenda items in today, we need agenda items in today, so.
Yeah, and the information, to me, the information and the analysis just coming together on this. So I certainly, we all wish we were farther ahead in trying to figure out what exactly is the impact of this proposal.
This is where to kill it, so maybe some timely, sorry. Maybe some timely phone calls to our senator prior to Friday would be important.
Well, I can do that. I can share the information with all of you that I have right now. I
Well,
can.
you have,
Yeah.
it's very well summarized in the,
Okay. I thought if
for
you
the
needed
active
something more.
transportation planning monies.
So am I understanding this right? This is SB1 funds that they're changing the way they're allocating the money?
These are ATP funds that they're changing the way that they're
Was
They're
that, was that any
So
part of
some
it?
of it is SB1. The answer is yes. Some of it is SB1. The ATP was formed, the Active Transportation Program was formed before SB1 and then enhanced significantly, almost doubled in size with SB1. So a significant portion is related to SB1 and the SB1 funding.
Where did you get McGuire's position?
Through reading through the legislative record, you can see how the votes are. So he did not vote no on this. He voted yes on this. And they proposed something even more extreme than what we have right now. They proposed an amendment, and the information that I have is with the amendment that they proposed.
He represents all rural counties, and he voted yes?
You voted yes.
I, So that's why we're meeting with the staff. I set up this meeting with the staff on Friday as I looked at the record and I thought, well, maybe he doesn't understand what a bad deal this is for rural California. Because it's not being sold like that, of course. It's not being sold like that. It's being sold as something completely different. It's being sold as put the decisions about the funding where the money is spent and not at the state of California with the CTC. But the process that they have in place is they've spent a lot of time and effort putting together their competitive processes. It's not that the CTC members are scoring the applications. The applications, everybody can volunteer to be a scorer of ATP, and you go through a lot of education. I've been a scorer for 2 cycles of the Active Transportation Grants process. We don't score the grants in our area. You work as a team, so it's not like you as an individual are scoring something. It's set up in a way that I think is as fair as possible. And they've done a lot of work on it, and they're, continuing to revise and improve their processes. And this basically undermines all of the work that the state has done to move this program forward in a way that is as fair as they can make it. So, we find it frustrating, and we do. We find it frustrating on a lot of levels, and this is just going to make it worse.
Well, I would move that we authorize the chair to sign a letter of concern and oppose SB 152 as amended.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Can you call the vote? Oh, can we get public comment first? Yeah, Eileen.
Hi, Eileen Cooper. For what it's worth, I wonder why this was done. What is the actual basis? Was there a careful analysis of unmet needs? I think a careful survey of the quantity of roads within all these rural areas mounts up in these small towns everywhere, mounts up to quite a bit. And what their needs would be as compared to what are the unfilled needs in these urban areas. How, I know active transportation, bike lanes, buses, I don't know if it includes bus funding? Just for walking, okay, and biking and that. So, what are the deficit in plans in all these rural counties? I mean, was there a careful assessment of whether we're putting the bucks where they really are needed, whether it's urban or rural? I think fair is fair. If there's a huge deficit, you know, in the urban areas, then maybe it's warranted. But I think we should demand a fair and careful allotment and analysis. So that's my suggestion to ask for that. Thank you.
All right, we'll get back to the vote.
Commissioner Gitlin?
Yes.
Commissioner Hemmingson? Yes. Commissioner Howard? Yes. Commissioner Inscore? Yes. Commissioner Jesse Robinson, Policy Advisory Member?
It's Suresh today, Suresh Ratnam.
Oh, I apologize.
Yeah.
Suresh?
Yeah.
And Chair Alex Wellman?
Yes. Okay. Now we're on our discussion items. The shop project update is first.
I met with Richard Mullen this morning, and I actually was hoping that he could come to the commission meeting when I put together the agenda, but he actually had to drive to an additional meeting today, and so he was unable to stay over. But we went through a shop project list. He has some corrections and changes to make in that project list. I'm hoping to include it in your next agenda packet so we can look at the shop project list in detail. But there are a couple of things on there. It's primarily, but not exclusively, a 2-year list. It's about 3 pages long of a 2-year list. And we went over the projects and talked about some more detail that's needed in that project list, like the type of project that, you know, is it a overlay, is it a guardrail, or whatever it is, for the shop projects. And so there are some things, though, that I just typed out that I wanted to bring to your attention. They certainly are taking a hard look at the collisions on the 199 corridor. They're doing that with the California Highway Patrol. I'm still waiting for the collision information on Highway 199. It was promised to me in a meeting a few weeks ago. I talked to Richard Mullen about this morning, and he's going to follow up with me on that. I don't know why I am so challenged to have access to information, but it indeed has been challenging. But a couple of things that were good to see. They are addressing the problem with the lighting at Collier Tunnel. There are some significant improvements to that rest area that I believe is a very important rest area in our community. That rest area just outside the Collier Tunnel. There's, you know, nearly no place to stop from Cave Junction to Gasky, should you need to. And they're taking a look at phone service there, the electricity, just all of the infrastructure of that rest area, and working to get things up to speed. They'll be providing a generator for the tunnel lights, an additional generator. I think there's one now. So they're really taking care of that lighting problem that doesn't happen frequently, but when it does happen, it's very dangerous. So I was pleased to see that. when we get this list back in a revised version, again, I'll put it on the Transportation Commission agenda, and we can take a look at, I can answer questions about those projects. Caltrans will be here to answer questions too. But it's a good list. Other than the Collier Tunnel Solutions, there wasn't anything on there that was surprising to me that I didn't know about. That wasn't just sort of a resurface paving things, which is Caltrans maintenance that they're doing pretty much all the time.
Any questions, commissioners? Nothing? Okay. Next is last chance grade.
I don't have anything on last chance grade as an update. I don't know. I know I was in a CTC meeting during the last chance grade meeting, but I know some of you are on that committee.
And, yeah, just to give you an update, I guess, a little bit, we did have a stakeholders meeting. Mitigation is certainly the biggest concern, and starting is a really big concern on my part, because we haven't gotten to the start date yet. The timelines have not changed. The start date has not come forth yet. So it's disappointing.
Tamara, can you tell us about this NEPA lawsuit that you sent a copy to everyone here?
The NEPA lawsuit is on Richardson Grove, and that's the Richardson Grove project. It's still very important to our community, and I'm expecting Autumn Luna to attend the July meeting, the July 2nd meeting. That's getting down to the Highway 199 litigation, but she could probably answer more questions about that than I can. The Department of Transportation is especially frustrated, and I must say that when I was reading the language that the judge put forth, and when I got to that first STAA heavies, I had to just walk away from it, go back to it and read it later. Anybody coming to the table with that kind of narrow, limited, and actually false interpretation of STAA trucking, it's hard for me to listen to that kind of language, because it's just not even accurate. The STAA trucks, there isn't a weight limit. There isn't.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I was reading it, and he interjects things like there's no length limit. There's no, and there's no height limit. I mean, he's talking about all these things. This is the way I'm reading it. I was really disappointed that he came in saying that the plaintiffs had not exactly told the truth, and I thought, well, we were going in that direction, and then he just kind of threw that aside, and he started yammering on Caltrans about what a lousy job they did on everything they put in there. And how do you get, on a roadway, how do you get pavement around 3/4 of a tree? I mean, on a roadway, how are you going to get more than 50%? So when I was reading this thing, I'm going, where's this diagram that's showing, maybe you know, I don't know. I don't know how you get, if you're going to have a roadway, how do you get coverage over a root system, the root system, over 50% of the tree? And he spent a whole page yammering on that. You'd think you would have somebody that would be unbiased, and obviously this person is not. And that's a shame. It's really disappointing.
I was, yeah. I mean, I went back to it. I read it twice. Some sections I read 3 times just to make sure that I was truly trying to understand what he's getting at. I'm not sure that in some of it ever made any sense to me. But I would encourage all of you to read that if you haven't had an opportunity to read it by now, because it's very informative. And will be additionally informative about the slant of the US 199 litigation.
Yeah, and the other part of that was the truck traffic, on how it's going to increase the truck traffic, which we know that it should decrease the truck traffic, and he kind of mentions that, but then he goes on to say how it's going to increase it because he came up with his own little formula or something. I was really disappointed in that. I started reading it, I couldn't stop reading it because it baffled me. It truly baffled me.
Okay. What about US 199 intersection at Elk Valley Crossroad?
We are moving forward with the planning documents for that project. We are scheduling public meetings that I believe will be at the end of May, early June for that project. We've had some preliminary meetings with the school district, with Caltrans, in separate meetings to talk about Elk Valley Road or Elk Valley Crossroad because the Sunset High School is on the road, and the impact to the school and the challenges that the school has on Elk Valley Crossroad are pretty significant, and that also happens to be sort of a bus transfer, a school bus pickup station for Redwood School students. So you have a lot of the little kids, parents will drop them off at Sunset and then take them to Redwood Elementary, helping to reduce the traffic impact and the traffic challenges that are at Redwood right now because their facility, basically the challenge at Redwood Elementary, that the conclusion the school district came up with is that the size of the property is too small for the size of the student body that they have. And so they're slowly, striving to address that, and this having kids picked up that's one of the proposed solutions that they've moved forward with, is picking up kids. So there's a lot going on Elk Valley Crossroad. We all know that. You have the cross part of crossing Highway 199 and 197, but you also have certain sections of it are going through neighborhoods. A section of it's going through the school. Then you have the county park that's right there, Florence Keller. So it's a really, there's a lot of diverse circumstances on the crossroad, and I believe that the planning document is, I feel like we're going in the right direction by moving forward with this planning document. I'm hoping that everybody gets on board with promoting the public meeting when we get those dates set. I don't have firm dates yet for that, but doing everything that you can to get as many people there. I truly believe that the more public input we have, the better the project is in the long run. That the more perspectives, the more things to consider, and in these early public meetings, that's the best time to put your thoughts forward, is at the beginning of the project, not coming in, when you have design and you're working on your right-of-way, and then you're saying, whoa, 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 why are we doing this? Public input is much more effective taken early on, so I'm really hoping that we have a lot of public participation in those meetings. I believe that the meeting will take place at Sunset High School. That's where it's planned right now. So there will be a meeting room there, but they're planning on, at least from our initial conversations, putting up the display boards in the hall there and then having sort of a central area too. But it's not going to be a public meeting like a meeting with a microphone. It's going to be public input meeting with boards and explanations and people to answer questions, so the public really has an opportunity to see what they see now, and voice their needs that are being challenged right now with the roadway the way it is.
Anybody else have anything to add to that? And did we cover everything for the 199 litigation?
I believe so.
Okay.
Our counsel, Autumn Luna, is on board for the July 2nd update. I do have more. There's a decision that's expected in early June. And the reason why she wanted to delay it until our meeting is so she can share. She says there's no more information right now. And so if we had her come to the meeting following that decision date of June, and that's July 2nd.
Okay, do we have any public comment on the discussion items?
Hello, Eileen Cooper. I attended the safety workshop that you had here, community. Turnout was almost zip. I was there, just a couple of people wandered through. So I hope there will be more input and better advertising for the Crossroads project. Um, One thing I just thought of for that is maybe if what we need, like we had on Pebble Beach Drive, slow people down to make it safer and make more walking or biking areas for the crossroads. So you narrow the travel lanes and widen the shoulders, and that tends to slow people down and make it safer. That could be a solution like we did on Pebble Beach Drive. That's my input for that. And I guess we can save our thoughts till July, I suppose, for the big project. All right, thank you.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner comments and reports. Who wants to start with Mr. Gitlin?
Yes, I brought to your attention, Tamara, about mile 10.46. I had a meeting with Commander DP at CHP. We talked a little bit about 199 and trouble spots, and there are lots of problems on that 199. I said, well, single something out for me, and he said the southbound 199 at mile 10.46 needs a restriping effort. That's his recommendation. And it needs to come out into the road a little bit because, and we've already had experience of vehicles going, overcorrecting and going into the river. It's happened, I think, once or twice, he said, and a couple of close calls. So he's called for that. I asked him to come to today's meeting, but he's on vacation right now. So I'd like him to hear, I'd like to hear his input at our next meeting, and I'd like him to be invited so we can find out exactly what needs to be done, a restriping effort or perhaps additional guardrails. And I know there's some opposition to a guardrail in that open area at mile 10.46. But clearly something should be addressed in this area. And the what is, I don't know what the what is. I've already copied this to David Morgan at Caltrans, so he's aware of this. So I think it's worthy of additional study.
Any of you three?
Okay.
Okay. Howard and Score? Okay. Me either. Okay, well then we're gonna, go ahead.
Thanks, Alex. A little jumpy today, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. All right. Just, I'll make this brief since folks are eager. Assemblyman Wood has invited me down for a meeting with Assembly Transportation Committee Chair Jim Frazier in Eureka Friday, 11:30. It will be held at the Humboldt Bay Harbor District office to discuss transportation issues for both Humboldt and Del Norte counties. It's my understanding that Supervisor Berkowitz will also be in attendance to discuss those transportation issues important to Del Norte County. Obviously hoping to discuss last chance grade at length, Highway 199, 197, and then also our long-standing issues along Highway 101, both south of last chance grade and north of last chance grade, which would include a lot of projects that we have in the queue around the harbor, traffic calming within the city limits, and in addition, pullouts, turnouts, etc., going not only through tribal lands, but in the Smith River area proper.
And SB 152.
And now, SB 152.
Add it to your list.
I will add it to my list. It will have to go through the Assembly Transportation Committee. And generally those things hit their desk around middle of June.
Okay.
Anything else? No? Okay, then we're gonna adjourn as the Policy Advisory Committee and reconvene as the Del Norte Local Transportation Commission, and by polled vote, approve and adopt the actions taken by the Policy Advisory Committee.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Let's pull the vote. Oh, public comment?
Eileen Cooper, I actually had my hand up for number 5 because Roger Gitlin reminded me of something. to say here about 199. I want the board to know that the Friends of Del Norte has always been for safety on the Highway 199. We've been very supportive of that. And that is one of the key elements why opposition to the project was undertaken, of putting bigger trucks on there. In looking over safety issues for roads, for rural roads with high speeds, I looked at the evaluation document put out by the Federal Highway Safety Administration that studies all of the elements that go into making a high-speed, greater than 50 mile an hour road. What are the elements that are most important to safety? And the number one issue that comes up is shoulders. Having adequate shoulders. If you shortchange an SDA project by not having adequate shoulders, you are creating an extremely dangerous situation. At the same token, we should be improving our shoulders in spots. It's the most important issue for the traffic we have today. So, line of sight in relation to shoulders is a very critical issue, because when you can't see in front, you have to make last-minute corrections. And the only thing that allows that to happen without an accident is our shoulders. Those that allows people to make necessary corrections. So I could forward that big analysis and study. It takes into consideration all of the elements, guardrails, buffering, all kinds of things. But shoulders are very, very important. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can you call the vote?
Commissioner Hemmingson?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Inscore?
Yes.
Commissioner Gitlin?
Yes?
Chair Alex Ballman?
Yes. Okay, with that, we're going to adjourn until the next regular scheduled meeting on Tuesday, June 4th at 3 p.m. Thank you.
Okay.